Did Donald Trump really think he could conquer Canada? Believe it or not, this isn't just satire. Trump's remarks about annexing Canada, Greenland, and even the Panama Canal weren't just offhand comments. They reflected a peculiar fantasy of conquest that reveals much about the state of America and its leadership.
Political chaos in Ottawa couldn't have come at a more challenging time. The government is bracing for U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's return to office, with his threats of massive tariffs and jabs at making Canada the 51st state by annexing this country using, quote, economic force.
But let's unpack why, in reality, such a move would be a disaster. First, consider the U.S.'s historical track record with occupations and annexations. Over the past 70 years, America has seen repeated failures in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Vietnam. Despite its military strength, the U.S. struggles to maintain control over occupied populations. Why? Because in the 21st century, controlling another nation isn't as simple as marching in. Occupations require control, and control means violence. But violence against local populations creates resistance, and that resistance eventually spirals into chaos. This paradox has made America a master of winning battles, but losing wars. Trump's fantasies of conquest come at a time when America's military influence is shrinking. Nations like Niger and others in West Africa are expelling U.S. forces, opting for other alliances. Domestically, the U.S. is facing unprecedented instability, tearing itself apart with growing divisions and economic challenges. Add to this the erosion of trust in national institutions, and you've got a country less prepared for conflict than ever before. But even if the U.S. were in better shape, Canada is not an easy target. With its vast icy geography and resilient population, conquering Canada is a logistical nightmare. Harsh winters and dense forests would slow any invading force. And let's not forget Canada's history. In the War of 1812, a much smaller Canadian force, aided by Indigenous allies like Shawnee Chief Tecumseh, defeated a far larger and more united America. Today, the U.S. doesn't have that unity. It's a country divided against itself, with domestic unrest reaching unprecedented levels. Trump's talk of economic force against Canada doesn't fare much better. Canada and the U.S. are deeply intertwined, trading billions of dollars in goods annually. Disrupting this trade would cause shortages on both sides of the border and devastate industries. And let's not forget NATO. An attack on Canada would trigger Article 5, pulling in allies like the UK, Germany, and others to defend Canada. The result? A global backlash against the US, both diplomatically and economically. Even Russia, with its massive military, is learning the hard way in Ukraine that 21st century occupations are more difficult than ever. Populations today aren't powerless. They're educated, resourceful, and determined. Attempts to dominate them only lead to resistance, higher costs, and failure. And then there's Canada itself. While known for being polite, Canadians are fiercely proud and wouldn't back down. They've defended their homeland before, and they'd do it again. Armed with hockey sticks, maple syrup, and a national sense of unity, they'd rally together in ways that a fractured America could only envy. Ultimately, Trump's bluster about annexation reveals more about America's vulnerabilities than Canada's. The U.S. may have unmatched military power, but its inability to hold territories, its shrinking influence, and its deep internal divisions make such fantasies just that, fantasies. As Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau aptly put it, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the unit.